Listen up, get ready, I'm not gonna take no more. There's a revolution, a revelation going on in my soul. Buckle up, get ready, we're not gonna say.
Hey, all you citizens of the world, welcome back to Live from the Heartland for the week of February 6th. And now we're going to go all the way up to Bellingham, Washington to talk to our friend Peter Schulte. He is going to give us the Peter Schulte Good News for Humankind report. And this will be his second time on the show. We're hoping to have him regularly. I've been reading his emails for a while now, and they are very uplifting, very positive, some heavy subjects, all in contrast to some things going on here. And speaking of that, when we see that Trump has tried to close windmills and really go up against alternative energy projects, I think Peter's going to share with us some stuff that's a little bit different. Take it away, Peter.
Yeah, Michael, thanks so much for having me back on. It's a pleasure. There's been a lot of renewable energy good news lately. And one I haven't even posted yet, but I don't know totally how this went yet, but Trump tried to close down 5 offshore wind projects across the states, and the 5th and final one was just reversed. So he's been totally unsuccessful. They're moving forward, which is, wonderful.
Well, we're hoping the courts come through on a lot of fronts.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Fingers crossed. But yeah, so there's been several. One, it's sometimes when dealing with renewable energy, it's like tough to get the scale across. So one of my good news reports from a few weeks ago was that the UK had a record-breaking offshore wind auction of 8 gigawatts. And that's enough to power 12 million homes. So it's a massive amount. And then just week, there was another good news article I posted that 10 nations across Europe have agreed to construct a 100 gigawatt offshore wind hub in the North Sea. So like the scale of this is just crazy. It's one of the biggest renewable energy projects in the world. What else? So a few things came through across Europe. I guess I'm focusing on Europe at the moment, but across Europe, wind and solar now officially generate more energy than coal for the first time ever. And in Australia, renewables now account for more than 50% of their energy capacity across the country. So, it can feel like we're not making progress fast enough and nothing's happening. And when you really dig into this stuff, the renewable energy transition around the world is going crazy fast. Maybe not fast enough, I don't know, but it's really been a rapid and kind of breathtaking transition across the world.
And I think that probably even in the States, there's an awful lot of people who, even if they voted for the bad guy, they understand the economics of renewable energy and the importance of it.
That's one of the frustrating things is that I really don't understand the reason to be against renewable energy. It seems kind of spiteful. Maybe there's, old money that's invested in coal and other things like that, but it really is the most economically viable path going further. It's not only good for the planet, it just makes money sense too. So that's what we're seeing around the world. China is investing more in renewables than anyone else by, a significant margin.
Where do you think that leaves us in relation to China over time? They seem to be way ahead in the game on renewable energy, all kind of solar panels are manufactured there, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, I look to that as a good thing. Americans sometimes think, we're getting messed around by the Chinese, but we're really in this world together.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I see it. I'm not, I'm American. I am sometimes proud to be an American, but, really we're in this as humankind. We can't stay in isolation anymore. If climate change shows us anything, it's that we're all just totally connected and relying on each other. So a win in China is a win everywhere else. But I do think, and I won't claim to be any political, strategic person or anything like that, but it's got to offer a strategic advantage for them to get so much reliable, clean, cheap energy for the future. We, arguably are getting behind the ball a bit.
Well, Peter Schulte, do you got any other reports on any other topics you'd like to share?
Yeah, sure. Well, speaking of China, so I'm not an engineer, so I'm probably going to butcher this, but they just officially launched the world's largest compressed air facility, it's called. And so as I understand it, this both produces energy, but also kind of serves as like a energy storage or a battery system. So it's in Hubei province. I'm hopefully pronouncing that somewhere close to correct, but probably not. But what they do is they generate this compressed air and they store it into these huge salt caverns underneath the ground. And when they need it, they can then release that compressed air to move turbines. And so maybe that sounds, kind of engineering, whatever, but supposedly it will save annually 250,000 tons of coal and like 600,000 tons of carbon emissions. And so it's this new technology that's coming up around the world that is not only kind of an engineering marvel, but, another huge win for climate. Yeah.
That's good to hear. You got one more?
Yeah, sure. So I'll go in a little different direction. So guinea worm disease is this deadly disease that's, historically for millennia, killed millions of people. And it's now on the brink of being the second disease worldwide to be completely eliminated. So as recently as the 1980s, there were like over 800,000 cases a year, mostly in sub-Saharan Africa. In 2025, there were 10 total. And I don't know if there are any deaths. So it's like right on the precipice of just being completely eliminated. And it's been, it hasn't been through vaccines or any great technical feat. It's been through just being more careful about clean water and local health officials and public servants really being on the game and creating water filtration and things like that. So that's a huge win. And, sometimes the good news I do is kind of political in nature. And sometimes it's just, people's lives getting saved in a kind of apolitical way. So,
keep them coming. We got a few more minutes.
All right, let's see what I got in here. So, for the first time, middle-class people outnumber those in poverty in Mexico. So the number of people in Mexico in poverty by certain measures has dropped from like 51 million to 38 million just in the last decade or so, as a result of minimum wage increases and social safety nets. And so maybe sometimes in the States we think of Mexico is impoverished, but it's kind of going through this great economic growth period in certain ways, at least.
We root for Mexico. I really, I spent time there, and I've obviously living in Chicago. There's a lot of Mexicans. And she tends to be standing up to Trump a little bit. I think one of the key things will be with Mexico if they'll continue to help Cuba on the energy front. Like Cuba really needs oil, and with the tax on Venezuela, we'll see where that all goes. You might fill us in the future on that. I got time for one more if you want to look at your list of stuff.
Yeah, sure. I got one. So Mauritius is this small island nation off the coast, the eastern coast of Madagascar. So it's way out in the Indian Ocean, and it's pioneering a new type of coral that is proven to be 98% effective, even in waters where the heat is increasing. So it's heat-resistant coral, which is really important because as the oceans warm up, so many of the reefs around the world are bleaching and dying out, which affects biodiversity, which affects fisheries, which affects people's livelihoods. So developing coral that can resist that is not only great for the environment and ecosystems, but really for people around the world. And they've just launched this new type that's, tremendously effective, which is really cool news.
Well, this is good. How about telling our listeners and viewers how they can get direct information from you, like I do every week, pretty often?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I have a newsletter that features. It's called Good News for Humankind. There's a weekly version and a daily version, depending on your preference. And to subscribe, it's free, and you can just go to peterschulte.org/subscribe. Should be super easy. And I always love hearing from my readers. Drop me a note, and we'll chat.
Well, we hope to have you back next month. I really appreciate you coming on. I want to